Alright, well, continuing our talk here on tactical quivers, I have here something I put together. I would consider this to be like a minimalist tactical quiver. And they weren't really designed to be a quiver at all, but they work really well. And that's a Camelback Thermalback. And I think I did a video on this before. But as you can see, you can fit your cold steel rifleman's hawk in here. You can fit your arrows. And if you're good with paracord, you can also mount on here a Becker BK9. You'll still be able to fit some survival items inside here. You could still hook the water bladder up to it. The only thing is that unless you put some kind of a tube in here, like maybe one of those little golf club inserts from a, I don't know what they call it, the golf club bag or whatever. I don't golf. Unless you put one of those tubes in and kind of bend it at the bottom and tape it off, I wouldn't put broadheads in there. And even then, you'd be limited as to what you could carry. You could put some paracord on the outside here. There are D-rings on here in different spots. And you could weave in one of the quivers that hooks onto a bow. And that would allow you to use broadheads. But for the most part, this is what you're going to get out of this one. Not too bad, actually. It does some pretty cool stuff. You can do a lot with field tips. I don't usually hunt with them, but there are things you can hunt with them. So our next option is going to be another one of my favorite ones, and one that I've actually tested out. And that is incorporating a Maxpedition. I think this is either a Condor or a Vulture, I'm not sure. You can incorporate this into your archery survival system. And basically what we got going on here is, of course, you're going to have all the survival gear inside that I went over. On the outside, here's your canteen pouch with a canteen cup. And the way we attach the arrows is by one of these. Okay. Now, what's cool about this is, one, you can put your machete up here. I have this Marbles machete here. Okay, and I spray painted it. This is like 16 bucks for the sheath and the machete. The machete is actually pretty nice. This allows you to adjust the height of your quiver. So you can see back here there's a buckle, okay? What I did is I didn't attach the quiver to this buckle. I attached it to this one down here. So what happens is there's this weird little back portion here. Knocking arrows out on accident. And then it tees off into this divider, and this catches that. And what happens is that when you're walking, this will drop down below the rest of the bag, and it will allow you to pull your arrows from basically like thigh height. So you're walking along, you can just pull out an arrow, pull it up like this, arm your bow, draw, release, grab another one. It's kind of like a drop holster for arrows a little bit. And this is one of the other ways I like to tactically carry arrows. Now, if you want to get super primitive, there is a method where the archers of old, I think it was like the Mongolians or the Huns, I'm not sure, they would hold their arrows in the same hand they held the bow. Okay, so maybe they would go like this or something. They'd hold their bow in there, and they would somehow manage to hold these arrows. I'm not sure exactly how they did it, but they did hold it in the same hand they held the bow in, and then when they needed another arrow, they would draw. So you have the ability to hold some here, and then also, let me grab it real quick. Stay right here. Grab one more thing. Okay, so as always, you can carry one quiver on your bow, one quiver here, have some arrows in your hand, and that would increase the amount you had, and that would allow you to actually arm your bow faster. The other cool thing is, you know, yeah, you can carry broadheads in here. But you can also use one of these quivers for like specialty arrows, such as flu-flus. So you might have special ways of dividing what you want to shoot. These are just different things to consider. The bigger the bag, the more the bigger the pack, the more you'll be able to carry, of course. But as always in survival, you want to make sure you're not carrying too much, because you have to think about how many calories you're going to burn. There's lots of different arguments out there, but these are different. These are different what I consider to be called tactical quiver options. Ones that I have seen in use that work quite well. The cool thing is that some of these bags can be fitted to smaller statured people. So, you know, like if you got a daughter who's about 10 years old, some of these bags are a little shorter and you can cinch them down and they'll fit them. And that's pretty cool for them to have for like 3D archery. I know it's not necessarily considered survival, but lots of cultures will teach their kids the principles of survival and things like that when they're younger, without teaching them to be violent. And to be honest, not all survival is about being violent anyhow. My one daughter wants to raise sled dogs, and I think this would be something cool for her to have when she does that. You know, she gets stuck somewhere, she can hunt rabbits with this. One might be able to argue that she can actually defend herself from large game with this. If anyone follows Fred Bear, they'd know that with equipment not too much different from this, he actually took out a polar bear. He literally killed a polar bear. If I remember watching correctly, he did it with a recurve. So he did that using traditional archery. Alright, well, this is the second part of my video on tactical quivers within my series of surviving with archery. Stay tuned for more surviving with archery videos coming up here shortly, and as always, thanks for your support.